You're seeing this for a reason, and I want you to pause for a moment and allow that idea to gently settle into your awareness, not as a dramatic claim, not as a prediction meant to impress the mind, but as a quiet recognition the soul already understands. There are moments in life when something inside you leans forward, when the inner voice that is usually drowned out by noise begins to speak with unusual clarity. This is one of those moments. You didn't stumble here by accident. Nothing in a meaningful life ever does. What you're experiencing right now, these subtle signs, these repeating patterns, these synchronicities that feel too precise to dismiss are not random events. They are invitations. They are whispers from life itself, asking you to remember who you really are and what you are here to express. There comes a time in every life when the old ways of seeing no longer fit, when the familiar patterns that once provided comfort begin to feel restrictive, even painful. You may notice that things you used to tolerate now feel unbearable, that conversations you once entertained now drain you, that goals you chased with passion no longer satisfy the deeper hunger inside you. This isn't confusion, it's awakening. It's the soul's way of saying you're growing beyond this. Growth often announces itself not with celebration, but with discomfort. It asks you to release identities you have mistaken for yourself. It challenges the ego's need for certainty, and it gently, persistently nudges you toward a larger truth. You are not here to live small, fearful, or divided within yourself. The signs you're noticing are not external commands telling you what to do. They are reflections of an internal shift that is already underway. When your consciousness changes, the world appears to respond, not because the universe is suddenly paying attention to you, but because you are finally paying attention to it. You begin to see patterns where before you saw chaos. You notice guidance where once you believed you were alone. Life has always been speaking to you, but now you are listening with a quieter mind and a more open heart. There is a profound principle at work here, one that the ego resists, but the soul recognizes instantly. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. The reason this season feels different is not because the outer world has suddenly changed, but because something within you has shifted its center of gravity. You are beginning to identify less with your fears, your past, and your conditioned beliefs, and more with the deeper awareness that observes them. This awareness does not panic, it does not rush, it does not compare itself to others. It knows, and that knowing is what aligns you with experiences that match your highest frequency of being. Often, just before a major expansion, life appears to tighten its grip. Challenges emerge. Relationships strain or fall away. Old wounds resurface. This is not punishment, and it is not regression. It is preparation. Imagine trying to pour fresh, clear water into a cup that is already full of sediment. The stirring is inevitable. What rises to the surface is not new. It was always there. This season is inviting you to let it go, not by fighting it, not by analyzing it endlessly, but by releasing your attachment to it. You are not being asked to fix yourself. You are being asked to remember that you were never broken. Letting go is one of the most misunderstood spiritual practices. The ego hears letting go and thinks of loss, surrender, or defeat. The soul hears it and recognizes freedom. To let go does not mean to forget or deny what you have lived through. It means you stop carrying it as your identity. You stop introducing yourself to the present moment through the lens of your past. You stop asking, what happened to me? And begin asking, who am I choosing to be now? In that shift, something miraculous occurs. Energy that was trapped in old stories returns to you as clarity, creativity, and peace. You may be noticing that the universe seems to be asking more of you now, more honesty, more courage, more trust. This is because you are capable of more. Life does not demand what it has not already equipped you to give. The challenges you are facing are not obstacles blocking your path. They are thresholds inviting you to step into a deeper alignment with your true nature. Each one asks a single question. Will you respond from fear or from awareness? Fear always speaks in urgency. It tells you that you are running out of time, that you must prove yourself, protect yourself, defend yourself. Awareness speaks softly. It reminds you that there is nowhere you need to go to become whole. It invites you into the present moment where life is actually happening. This is where your power has always been. Not in controlling outcomes, not in replaying regrets, not in rehearsing imagined futures, but in the simple, radical act of being fully here. As you enter this season, you may feel a strange mixture of excitement and vulnerability. That is the signature of transformation. You are stepping beyond the familiar boundaries of the ego, and the ego does not go quietly. It will try to convince you that you are unworthy, unprepared, or somehow late to your own life. Do not argue with these thoughts. Observe them. They are not truths. They are habits of the mind. When you stop feeding them with belief, they lose their power. And in that space, something infinitely wiser emerges, your inner guidance. The soul always knows. It knows when it is time to move, to rest, to speak, to release. It does not operate on deadlines or comparisons. It moves in harmony with life itself. When you trust this inner knowing, you begin to experience a different kind of success, not the kind measured by applause or accumulation, but the kind felt as peace, alignment, and quiet joy. This is the success that cannot be taken from you, because it does not depend on external validation. You are not here to chase signs as if they are outside of you. You are here to embody the awareness that creates them. The more you align with your true nature, the less you will need reassurance. You will begin to recognize that guidance does not always come as a clear instruction. Sometimes it comes as a feeling of resonance, sometimes as a gentle resistance, sometimes as a door that closes so convincingly that you finally stop knocking. Trust these moments. They are not detours, they are course corrections, leading you toward a life that feels more like home. This season is also inviting you to reconsider how you define abundance. Abundance is not something you earn through struggle or sacrifice. It is a state of allowing. When you release the belief that you must be someone else to be worthy of more, you open yourself to receiving what has always been available. The universe is not withholding from you. It is responding to the story you are telling about who you are. Change the story, and the response changes naturally. Notice how often your peace has been postponed. I'll be happy when this works out. I'll relax when things settle down. This is the ego's favorite trick, moving fulfillment into an imagined future. But life does not happen there. It happens now. And the paradox is this: when you stop postponing your peace, when you choose presence over projection, the external conditions you were waiting for begin to align on their own. Not because you forced them, but because you stopped resisting the flow of life. Forgiveness may also be asking for your attention during this time, not as a moral obligation, but as an act of self-liberation. Holding on to resentment is like gripping a burning coal and expecting someone else to feel the heat. When you forgive, you are not condoning what happened. You are choosing to stop letting it define you. You are reclaiming your energy, and energy reclaimed becomes the fuel for your next expansion. As you step into this biggest season of your life, remember this truth above all others. You are not becoming something new. You are uncovering what has always been within you. The strength, the wisdom, the compassion you are seeking are not outside your reach. They are part of your essence. Every sign you see is simply a mirror reflecting that remembrance back to you. So breathe, trust, release what no longer fits. Allow yourself to be guided not by fear, but by the quiet confidence of your soul. Life is not asking you to rush. It is asking you to align. And as you do, you will find that the season you are entering is not just bigger, it is truer. Truer to who you are, truer to why you are here, and truer to the infinite intelligence that has been guiding you all along, patiently waiting for you to notice that you were never lost. And as you remain with this awareness, as you allow it to breathe through you rather than rushing past it, something subtle yet profound begins to take place. You start to sense that this season is not merely about external change, but about an internal rearrangement so deep that the world will eventually have no choice but to reflect it back to you. This is how transformation truly works. It does not announce itself loudly at first. It whispers. It rearranges your inner furniture. It shifts what you value, what you tolerate, what you are willing to give your energy to. And one day, almost without warning, you realize that you are responding to life from a completely different place. There is a quiet strength being cultivated in you now. Not the brittle strength that comes from bracing against life, but the resilient strength that comes from trusting it. This strength does not need to dominate or defend. It does not need to be right. It simply is. And from this place, you begin to see that many of the battles you once fought were never required of you. They were distractions born of the ego's need to prove, to win, to survive. The soul has no such agenda. The soul knows that life is not something to be conquered, but something to be cooperated with. You may notice that your relationship with time is changing. The urgency that once propelled you may begin to soften. You still care, you still create, you still move forward, but there is less desperation in your steps. This is not complacency, it is alignment. When you are aligned, you no longer feel chased by the future or haunted by the past. You begin to live from a deeper rhythm, one that is synchronized with the intelligence that animates all things. In this rhythm, patience is no longer passive waiting, it is active trust. Trust is the quiet hero of every meaningful life. Not blind trust, but a grounded trust rooted in the recognition that you are part of something infinitely larger than your individual concerns. When you trust life, you stop interpreting every delay as rejection and every challenge as failure. You begin to see them as refinements, as calibrations, guiding you toward a version of yourself that can hold what you are asking for. Life is always preparing you for more, but it does so by asking you to become more spacious within yourself. This is why letting go becomes unavoidable in seasons like this. You cannot carry old fears into a new level of awareness. You cannot cling to outdated identities and expect to move freely. Letting go is not an act of force, it is an act of honesty. It is the moment you admit that holding on is costing you more than releasing ever could. And when you release, you make room not just for new experiences, but for a new relationship with yourself. Notice how often your mind wants to label this process, to categorize it, to define it so it can feel in control. The ego loves definitions because they create the illusion of certainty, but life is not interested in your labels. Life is interested in your presence. The most meaningful shifts rarely fit neatly into words. They are felt, they are lived, they unfold organically, like a flower that does not rush its blooming because it trusts the intelligence of the sun. As you continue into this season, you may find yourself drawn toward stillness more often. This is not withdrawal, it is recalibration. Stillness is where you remember that you are not the constant stream of thoughts passing through your mind. You are the awareness that witnesses them. From this vantage point, thoughts lose their authority. Emotions move more freely. You stop resisting what arises and start listening to what it has to teach you. This listening is a form of love, a love that does not try to fix or judge, but simply allows. And in this allowing, healing happens naturally. Not as an event, not as a breakthrough you can point to, but as a gradual softening. Old tensions dissolve. Old narratives loosen their grip. You realize that much of what you called healing was really just remembering your wholeness. You were never incomplete. You were simply distracted by stories that told you otherwise. There is a deep empowerment that comes from this realization. You stop outsourcing your worth to circumstances. You stop waiting for permission to live fully. You understand that the source of your fulfillment is not something you must chase, but something you must align with. And alignment is always available to you, right now, in this breath, in this moment of awareness. This is why this season feels significant. Not because it promises a perfect future, but because it invites you into a truer present. From here, every choice carries a different energy. You act not from lack, but from sufficiency. You speak not to be heard, but to be honest. You give not to be validated, but because giving feels like an expression of who you are. The signs you are seeing are simply confirmations of this inner shift. They are gentle nods from life, acknowledging your willingness to wake up. You do not need to analyze them endlessly. You do not need to chase them. Let them pass through you like a breeze, reminding you that you are in conversation with something vast, intelligent, and deeply supportive. And as this conversation continues, you may notice a growing sense of gratitude, not tied to specific outcomes, but to existence itself. Gratitude that you are alive, aware, and capable of growth. Gratitude that you can feel deeply, even when it hurts, because feeling deeply is a sign of being fully alive. This gratitude anchors you. It keeps you present. It keeps you open. You are entering a season where alignment matters more than effort, where authenticity matters more than appearance, where inner freedom matters more than external approval. This is not a season to become someone else. It is a season to stop pretending you are not who you already are. And as you continue to choose awareness over fear, trust over control, presence over projection, you will find that life begins to meet you with a new kind of grace. Not because you earned it, not because you finally got everything right, but because you remembered your place within the flow of existence. You remembered that you are not separate from the intelligence that guides the stars and turns seeds into forests. You are an expression of it. And this remembering is the true beginning of the biggest season of your life. And from this remembering, a gentler courage begins to rise within you, not the loud kind that seeks recognition, but the quiet courage that allows you to live honestly. You begin to notice how often you once silenced yourself to keep the peace, how frequently you compromise your inner truth to maintain outer approval. This season is inviting you to stop that habit, not through confrontation, but through alignment. When you are aligned with yourself, your presence speaks more clearly than any argument ever could. You may sense that certain relationships are shifting now. Some may deepen in unexpected ways, while others may fade without drama or explanation. This, too, is part of the unfolding. Relationships are mirrors, and as you change, the reflection must change as well. Let this happen without judgment. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into every season of your life. Some were there to awaken you, some to challenge you, some to remind you of what you no longer wish to carry. Gratitude allows you to release them without bitterness. And release is a form of love that trusts life's intelligence more than the ego's attachment. There is an inner spaciousness developing in you, a sense that you no longer need to fill every moment with activity or noise. In this space, insight arises naturally. You begin to see how often your striving was rooted in the belief that you were lacking something essential. Now, that belief is loosening. You are starting to feel, not just intellectually understand, that you are already enough. Not because you have achieved something, but because existence itself does not make mistakes. You were not created as a problem to be solved. When this realization settles into your being, ambition transforms. It no longer comes from fear of insufficiency, but from joy of expression. You create because it feels natural to create. You contribute because giving feels like a continuation of who you are. Effort becomes lighter. Resistance dissolves. And paradoxically, things begin to move with greater ease, precisely because you are no longer forcing them. You may notice that your sensitivity has increased. You feel more, you notice more. You are more aware of subtle energies, moods, and undercurrents. This is not weakness, it is refinement. Sensitivity is the instrument through which wisdom flows. When you stop numbing yourself through distraction, through overthinking, through constant doing, you allow life to touch you more deeply. And life, when fully felt, becomes your greatest teacher. This depth of feeling may sometimes bring tears without a clear reason, or moments of profound stillness that feel almost sacred. Let them come. They are signs that you are reconnecting with the part of you that was never meant to be hardened. The heart was not designed to armor itself against life. It was designed to experience it. And in experiencing it fully, you discover that even pain carries intelligence. Even sorrow carries a message. Everything is in service of your awakening when you are willing to listen. Listening now becomes more important than deciding. You listen to your body when it asks for rest. You listen to your intuition when it nudges you toward or away from something without logical explanation. You listen to silence, and in that silence you hear the subtle guidance that has always been present. This guidance does not shout. It trusts you enough to whisper. As this trust deepens, the need to control outcomes begins to fall away. You realize that control was never true power. It was a response to fear. True power is the willingness to stay open, even when the outcome is uncertain. It is the ability to meet the unknown without contracting. This openness is what allows life to surprise you, to deliver gifts you could not have planned or imagined. You are being prepared not just for more, but for a different quality of more. More meaning, more presence, more alignment. The universe is not interested in overwhelming you. It is interested in expanding you. And expansion always requires space. Space is created when you stop clinging to what no longer resonates, when you stop rehearsing old stories, when you stop defining yourself by who you used to be. There is a quiet joy available to you now, one that does not depend on circumstances lining up perfectly. It arises from the simple recognition that you are in relationship with life, not at war with it. This joy is subtle, but it is steady. It does not spike and crash. It hums beneath the surface of your days, reminding you that even in uncertainty, you are supported. As this season continues to unfold, remember that you do not need to rush toward clarity. Clarity comes from presence, not pressure. Each step will reveal itself when you are ready to take it. Trust the timing. Trust the pauses. Trust the moments when nothing seems to be happening, because beneath the surface, everything is reorganizing in your favor. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where awareness has brought you. And awareness never arrives too early or too late. It arrives precisely when you are ready to receive it. This is the deeper truth of this season. You are not being pushed forward by force. You are being drawn forward by recognition. Recognition of your own depth. Recognition of your own resilience. Recognition of the quiet, steady wisdom that has been guiding you all along. And as you continue to choose alignment over fear, presence over projection, and trust over control, you will find that this biggest season of your life is not something you are waiting for. It is something you are already living. And as this awareness settles even more deeply into your being, there is a soft exhale that moves through your life, a release you didn't realize you were holding back. You begin to understand that nothing essential has ever been missing. What felt absent was never outside of you. It was simply waiting for your attention. And now, as you turn inward with kindness instead of judgment, you find that life meets you there, quietly, faithfully, without condition. You start to sense that this season is not asking you to become extraordinary in the eyes of the world, but authentic in the eyes of your own soul. Authenticity has a frequency that cannot be imitated. It is calm. It is grounded. It does not need to convince anyone of its value. When you live from this place, you stop negotiating your worth. You stop editing your truth to fit expectations. You allow yourself to be guided by what feels aligned rather than what appears impressive. There is a sacred simplicity returning to you now. You begin to enjoy moments without needing to document them, to understand them, or to extract something from them. You are learning to let life be enough. And in doing so, you realize that presence is the greatest gift you can offer to yourself and to others. Presence heals without effort. It clarifies without force. It connects without conditions. This is where inner freedom quietly takes root. Freedom does not arrive as the absence of responsibility or challenge. It arrives as the absence of resistance. When you stop arguing with what is, you gain access to what can be. When you release the need to control the flow, you discover that you are the flow. The same intelligence that turns night into morning and seeds into forests is alive within you, guiding you with perfect precision. You are no longer waiting for life to begin. You feel it happening now, in your breath, in your awareness, in the subtle joy of being alive and conscious in this moment. The future no longer feels like something you must chase or fear. It becomes an extension of the presence you are cultivating now. And the past loosens its grip, not because it has been erased, but because it has been understood and gently laid to rest. This season is teaching you that peace is not a destination. It is a decision you make again and again to return to yourself. It is the decision to identify not with the noise of the mind, but with the stillness that hears it. From this stillness, wisdom flows effortlessly. From this stillness, compassion arises naturally. From this stillness, you recognize yourself not as a separate fragment in a chaotic world, but as an expression of a perfectly ordered universe. You may still have moments of doubt. That is human. You may still feel fear from time to time. That is natural. But now, those moments no longer define you. They pass through you like weather across the sky of your awareness. You remain, and in remaining, you discover a quiet confidence that does not depend on certainty. It depends on trust. Trust that you are being guided even when the path is unclear. Trust that what is leaving your life is making room for what truly belongs. Trust that your willingness to awaken is enough to carry you forward. You do not need to know every step. You only need to stay present for the one you are taking now. And so, as you stand within this unfolding season, allow yourself to soften into it. Let go of the need to label it, to measure it, to rush it. Simply live it. Let your thoughts be gentle. Let your actions be aligned. Let your heart remain open. In doing so, you will find that life responds not with struggle, but with grace. You are not here by accident. You are not seeing these signs by chance. You are remembering your depth, remembering your wholeness, remembering that you are not separate from the source of life, but an extension of it, uniquely expressed, perfectly timed. And as this remembrance continues to unfold, you will realize something quietly miraculous. The biggest season of your life is not defined by what happens to you, but by who you choose to be within it. Awake, present, free,